While some political parties will miss out on the race to the 2024 polls, and its voters will not be able to vote for them due to the non-compliance with Section 27 of the Electoral Act, the IEC has argued that these subjective experiences do not constitute a limitation of rights, nor does it point to a failure in the online candidate nomination system.
Of course, it is unfortunate that these applicants, that these parties will not compete in the elections. It is unfortunate that their supporters will not be able to vote for the parties they want to vote for. But the reality is, in order to have an election at all, there have to be rules. And the Commission has to enforce those rules. And the reality is that those rules will mean that some people do not comply. But that does not result in a limitation of rights.
The IEC submitted that the truth was that the system worked, but the applicants didn't, as they, among other things, underestimated the task, made mistakes, and didn't understand how it works. The applicants, the Labour Party, ACT Party, and African Alliance of Social Democrats, were barred from contesting the upcoming elections after they failed to comply with Section 27 of the Electoral Act by missing the March submission deadline. The applicants blamed their failure to comply on the IEC's online portal, which they allege malfunctioned. Council on behalf of the Labour Party turned to the 35% failure rate to advance its submission on the online portal system.
There are frequent references to a handful or a very small minority of parties who are unable to upload the information in time, that the vast majority of those who were required to do so did so successfully. That's just untrue. 35% failure rate is not a small minority, and 65% is not a vast majority. What it indicates is that despite the glowing reports from the service provider who said their system was working well, and the argument that if some could do it, all could do it, there were significant difficulties.
A common question arose from the Constitutional Court bench on why these parties left their submissions to the final hour, when other options were available, resulting in the court asking how one can justify accommodating the demands of a few parties who could not meet the deadline over the needs of the majority who could.
So there has to be a rigorous adherence, but also there has to be even-handedness. For elections must not only be free and fair, they must be seen to be free and fair. It's much like justice. And so how do you justify accommodating these parties when the overwhelming majority has done what they had to do? And the election timetable was never under any challenge. You didn't challenge item 9, you didn't challenge the regulations under which it was passed. So on what basis is it fair to do this for you and not for others?
Parties argued that this was an unfair assertion which reduces their objective experiences with the system to a subjective one, adding that their non-compliance was due to reasons beyond their control. Judgment was reserved in the matter. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.